With whatever line they introduce in 2015, I hope that they come up with something that is more inspired, it is more interesting. I doubt it will be as good as Bionicle, but at least it might be something fresh and new, you know? And when 2015 comes around, and you guys have seen whatever toys they're releasing then, you'll probably think that what I'm saying now is just a load of hype. Some are hoping that they bring back Bionicle, but I honestly don't think they will. I would like it if they did, but I have to wonder just how they would go about it, how they would carry on with it. But even if it is something completely different, I at least look forward to seeing something fresh and new and just more interesting than what they've done lately.
Oh, if only you knew. So here it is, Bionicle has returned to us, or should we call it Bionewcle? Anyway, I've known about this for months. I've seen the leaks and all that stuff, and I could have talked about it in several videos to squeeze out as many views as possible like a lot of other YouTubers, but I've decided to save my full thoughts for today following the big reveal. I didn't want this to be like Sonic Generations where I made like 6 boring videos in the months leading up to its release that nobody wants to watch nowadays. This is also why I haven't made any more Sonic Boom videos since my first initial thoughts. It's just a waste of time. Still, this seems like a pretty good time to talk about Bionicle, don't you think? So what do I think about the new sets? I think they're awesome. I think they have a lot more character than any recent Hero Factory figures, even the more basic ones like Poatu and the Protectors. They're just so decked out and rockin'. I love the new masks and the emphasis on collecting them. I love the extra functions of their weapons, and they even have secondary weapons while their main weapons are used for other things. I love the new armor pieces even if it's only a couple. I love the Protectors. I love the color schemes, mostly. I love the background art. I love how the gear functions are going to be implemented. I love pretty much everything about these. And you can bet I'm going to get every single one of them. It seems LEGO's got me hooked by the balls all over again. For those of you who would say, but I thought Bionicle fans hated the new Hero Factory building system. Why are you suddenly accepting these Hero Factory sets with a new name? Some Bionicle fans hate the Hero Factory building system. I just hate the story. But I've liked the new system from the beginning, and I'm only going to like it more over time since the Invasion from Belowline was released especially. Need proof? Think I'm a hypocrite? Just go watch my 2.0 review then. I mean, have you seen what I've been up to lately? There's so much you can do with this system, you only need to give it a try. If it's about the lack of texture, these pieces being a little too plain Jane, well, they are trying in a lot of small ways to give these figures more texture, and I appreciate it. Besides, they're probably just in some transitional period, like when Hero Factory was still mostly using Bionicle pieces. I don't think they'll completely abandon this system in a year or so. That would be unbelievably expensive and wasteful. But I see no reason they can't give us some new place and texturing to work with, or give us some new bone pieces made to be compatible with older armor, or heck, new armor, to steadily bring that old feel back. I love the way most of these guys look, though I won't say I'm not going to do some work on them, throw some of my own pieces in there to make them look more my way. That's what LEGO's all about, you know, just take whatever you have lying around and make something truly yours. Thank Matanui for Bricklink. I've seen the Comic-Con video and it's cool, but I certainly hope this isn't what a new Bionicle show would look like. This is a really hard sell for me. I just don't think this super simple chibi-fied look fits, and trying to imagine the characters moving around in this style is awkward. For something like My Little Pony or Mixels, it works because those are already incredibly simple, easy to animate character designs with simple, easy to animate movements. Trying to condense the much more complex character designs for something like this, well, see for yourself. It totally clashes. I just can't imagine how they're going to convey something epic and timeless with this goofy art style. Just look at some of this scenery. How is it supposed to do that justice? How is it supposed to be beautiful? How intense could a fight scene between characters like these possibly be? It just seems like such a waste to render all this amazing stuff we see in the background, and then not make something that actually takes place in these lovely locales we see. The Matanui Online game had a cartoony style and a fairly lighthearted vibe, that's not the problem, but there was a certain class to it. I just think this is going a little overboard. This isn't iconic, this is finicky. At least to me. I mean, if done right, this could harken back to that sort of style, that sort of storytelling, and maybe I'll warm up to it, you never know. But at the moment, I'm not a fan of these. I get it, the kids of today are very, very different than we were, and they're being raised on this sort of stuff, but that's enough out of me. I just think the recent Hero Factory animations and even Chima are, if nothing else, pretty. Why go through the trouble of creating all these amazing set pieces if you aren't planning to make use of any of them? I don't understand why Bionicle isn't getting that kind of top billing with a show that does it justice. But whatever. Anyway, for me, it's not the simple fact that they're calling this Bionicle that makes me excited. If the story ends up being really goofy and brainless like Chima or yes, Hero Factory, then it's not Bionicle. If the story ends up being good, however, at least on par with Ninjago, if they've managed to capture lightning in a bottle a second time to bring back the spirit ahead in the day, then great! I couldn't be happier. And from what we've seen, it looks like they may have done just that in some places. I mean, just look at this new world they've created for us. That's what we miss about it. A good story. A cool world to explore. It doesn't need to be uber dark and serious or super complicated to be enjoyable. But again, if it's at least as fun and smart as Ninjago, I'm gonna be just fine. I'm so relieved that some words like Toa will still be used, that the language that made Bionicle, well, interesting, hasn't been completely dissolved and dumbed down for a new demographic. I mean, if they're going that far to make it easier for kids to understand and relate to, why bother keeping the names of Tahu and the others at all? Just call them Jerry, Joey, Billy, Todd, Frank, and Sally, or whatever. Yeah, there's no Manui or Artaka, and the new Makuta can only be interesting for so long, but maybe he won't be the only villain this time, who knows? As long as the storytelling is good, we're good. Fingers crossed. Interestingly, the classic Bionicle story has come under fire from some people for being too rigid, for not giving kids enough room for creativity, saying they'd be wrong to make character A wear mask B or whatever. Okay, yeah, there are some things about Bionicle that bug me to this day, namely Gamatoran and Toa of Water usually being the only girl sets. That's why I've done away with that silly gender divide in my world that I've created, Nova Orbis, and hopefully LEGO will follow suit with whatever Toa team they release next. Heck, half of my Toa are girls. Look, I get it that Hero Factory allows for more creativity because it's not about following a select few characters on their adventure, their story that LEGO's telling you. That's why they're usually so underwhelming. It's about making your own heroes. You could name them whatever you wanted, give them whatever powers you felt like, make them any colors that looked cool to you, take them on adventures to any planet you could think of. This makes it better than Bionicle's central plot that always demands kids color within the lines. But you could say that about any LEGO series. If this is a problem for Bionicle, then it's also a problem for Chima, and Ninjago, and anything else that tries to have a somewhat engaging and coherent plot. If they want kids to be more creative with their sets, then it's a simple matter of giving them more wiggle room by getting rid of the pesky gender ratios and whatnot. It doesn't mean you can't challenge them with whatever story you do tell them. I wish they'd also release color packs, not just with recolored masks, but armor pieces in sizes and colors that you wouldn't find in other sets. But, oh well. I really like the way the new gear functions are implemented. It's not just one big special box you slap onto the back that can only be used that way. It's a mishmash of many little pieces, ingeniously arranged to maximize space and function in a more practical than fancy, showy way. It's basic technic engineering, no more complex or hackneyed than it needs to be, and it's great to see Bionicle be a part of the technical line again. I do wish there was some way to make the gears stop though. That could be a problem. Maybe the way these gears are shaped could give them a little more friction. I don't know. Either way, exposed shoulder joints aside, I'm impressed. I didn't think there was a good way to merge Hero Factory builds with old school slicer engineering, but LEGO found a way. They brought it back. I also like the way the new masks work, though I'll delve more into that once I've actually played with these. You see guys, LEGO isn't stupid. They have to plan this stuff pretty far ahead. I honestly don't think this started out as yet another Hero Factory line that just got a new title slapped onto it at the last minute for nostalgia. People assume LEGO killed Bionicle due to bad sales, but that's just not true. Yes, sales were steadily declining, but even in its last years it was selling alright. But it was just too bloated for the next crop of buyers, kids, to connect with this stuff the way we did, and even a lot of older fans were jaded by just how far removed it had become from what they loved in the beginning. And for something like Bionicle, just selling alright really isn't selling very good. So, instead of running a good thing into the ground and making it an unsalvageable train wreck that they couldn't do anything with anymore, LEGO wisely saved it in some capacity. They couldn't do it without hurting us, but they saved Bionicle. They didn't kill Bionicle, they just put it to bed for a little while it was still good. That way, if they ever did feel like bringing it back, as they are now, retailers wouldn't be reluctant to put the new sets on their shelves. They'd remember Bionicle as a theme that always sold pretty well. Greg Farshty said as much in his interview with TTV. Heck, I had a great conversation about this sort of thing with a manager at my local Toys R Us who was there to see LEGO save from their dire straits when Bionicle exploded in the first place. Even he said, LEGO isn't dumb. To me, the only con is the asking price. These guys are going to be expensive. Part of Bionicle's draw way back when was how easily affordable they were. And yeah, I know they were much smaller and had fewer pieces. Even the protectors have nearly twice as many pieces as your average Toamata set. But even with all the extra bells and whistles, the huge over-the-top weapons, the gears, the skull crata, and the golden masks, you know that inflation has gotta be a big part of it too. Oh well, I can only hope these sets aren't going to keep getting more expensive over time, with say a protector size set becoming $20 down the road. I'll cough up the $200 it'll take to pay for these guys this time, though. I know what I'm getting for Christmas. So yeah, you guys can expect me to review these. All of them. I'll make one video about the Protectors, one about the Toa, and one about the Lord of Skull Spiders, and my final thoughts on this first wave. If you want some idea of what these reviews will be like, well, they'll be something like those revamp videos I've been uploading lately. I might even make some more revamp videos with the new Bionicle sets. As for what else I'll be doing down the road, as soon as I've finished uploading these revamp videos, I'll be celebrating Bionicle's return with a Bionicle Games follow-up to my LEGO Games video. And you can bet I'll be covering the new Matanui online game 3D somewhere in said video. I'll also be continuing Bionicle Nova Orbis in a couple of weeks, as soon as I'm finished with my current project, Wrath of the Devilman. This is especially important to me and a few others because, well, since Bionewcle is a full-blown reboot that completely erases the old canon, well, that still leaves me the old canon to play around with as I see fit. Speaking of which, I'm going to be interviewed about Nova Orbis by TTV once I get back from Comic-Con, so look forward to that. Toodles!